Hi guys, welcome to the Break the Chain podcast. I'm here today with Eric Patrick Thomas. Eric is one of the most inspiring guests that we've ever had on. Eric's a hip-hop artist and an entrepreneur. 23 years ago, Eric was involved in a life-changing event and he's used it to inspire the lives of thousands since then. So thanks so much for coming on the show today, Eric.
Hey, thanks for having me.
It really is an honor to, going well today, mate. Going all right. It really is an honor to have you here. And, you know, I've not said too much at the beginning because I think it'll be amazing if you can actually share your story because it's incredible.
Oh, yeah. You want to, like, before I even got injured?
Yeah, let's go through it all.
Let's take it back. Take it back to 43 years. So, when I was, little, I'm talking like birth, I was read Mother Goose and Dr. Seuss books, before I was born. And somehow when I was born, that's what I always gravitated was to wordplay. I love the way that words connected, rhyme time and things like that. That was an early passion. When even I'm a baby, that was something that I was always just like going towards was rhythm. My mom, she listened to like a very diverse of music. So anywhere from Lionel Richie to Rod Stewart to Elton John to Michael Jackson to Prince to, Al Green, it just, it never stopped. My uncle was 80s, like kind of the 80s rocker, 70s, 80s rocker. And my aunt was musical all day. So music just became a passion in my life because it became a part of my life. I think because like I always found happiness in it or found enjoyment. You might see me jumping on the bed, dancing to some like, doing the Music Man or the Singing in the Rain, and then you see me headbanging a little with, some kind of AC/DC or something, or doing the moonwalk of Michael Jackson. This is kind of this is my childhood that I can remember. And then my parents got divorced when I was almost 2, and then my dad got remarried, and my mom stayed single, and I stayed with her. And I don't remember who lived in the basement. It was my uncle or my aunt. One of them lived in the basement. But my mom worked a lot of hours. She worked at Burger King at that time. So I was the only child, so I found a way to entertain myself many times, and the babysitter was next door. I'd watch MTV, and I'm thinking like how little I was to watch MTV, things like that. And then I remember when the TV was, and I'd watch Soul Train too. I remember that. And then I remember on MTV, there used to be a lot of rock and roll and heavy metal. And then this show came on called Yo MTV Raps. And I was like, whoa, it was or was it Fab Five Freddy? Yeah, I think it was Fab Five Freddy and the Yo MTV Raps. And I was like, wow, with this music that I'm now being introduced to, it's wordplay, it's rhythm, it's this music called hip hop, and rap. But I didn't understand like the meaning of all of it at that time. But I could see like the graffiti and the movies that came out. I was just hooked right away. When Breaking came out, and Breaking 2 and Breaking 1 and Crush Groove and all this stuff, Wild Style, just all that, I really just loved hip hop, breakdancing, everything about it. The graffiti, the clothes, I don't know. I don't know where it comes from. It just happened. It's just part of me. And the wordplay, that was just amazing. Just listening to like Run DMC and LL Cool J just for hours on a Walkman radio, or a boombox. So hip hop was a very big, it still is. It still is, performances. And then, but of course, I'm named after Eric Clapton. So I'm named after a music artist. My name's Eric Patrick Thomas, and he's Eric Patrick Clapton.
That's cool.
That's how I actually count my name. So it's like you set your child up, you name them after an artist, and they become, passionate about music. that was one of the things. Movies, wrestling, WWF. You know, sitting there watching them. The commentary and stuff, and this Hulk Hogan and Macho Man, Ricky. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, and then of course you had the WCW with Ric Flair and Dusty Rhodes. Wrestling was great. And there was Atari at the time, so Nintendo wasn't around yet. I played Atari. And other than that, then the VHS and Beta came out, and we were able to watch movies. And I can remember pushing the videotape back in and watching it over and annoying everybody in the household and watching the movie again. And I learned quick how to work the VHS. And then we moved around a lot too. That was the other thing. Like I went to a lot of schools, so trying to find like that stability. I was always able to adapt. Wherever I was, doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, anything, how you look, talk, whatever, I could adapt and we could be friends, you know. And I think because I had to, I didn't have like bullies when I was in elementary. Bullying started to happen almost at the end of elementary going into middle school, where we moved into a trailer park. We moved from a house into an apartment where we stayed with my grandma for a little bit. Because my bed was the couch. I slept on the couch, and then we moved into our own trailer. And then that's where I would say I had anger issues. My dad was remarried. I didn't understand any of that at the time when I'm a child. Why are my parents together? And then I didn't really like any of my mom's boyfriends too. So, you know, I was terrorizing them at the same time. And but I found happiness, but then I had anger issues too. I had a psychiatrist when I was in third grade. Elementary, I went through a lot of adult things. I think because I became an adult when the separation happened. When I became the man of the house, I became adult. So I was always latching on to older people, being around older people, older crowd. Yeah, I mean the one guy that was the bully that lived in my trailer park, he'd make me sneak out. Like he would just come to my window and just basically make me sneak out every night. I mean, he always wanted to just like find mischief. See the police? Okay, look, we're gonna do this, then we're gonna run. Like, and I'm in elementary. I'm like, little. But it was like I was being forced. There's a lot behind it on the things that he was saying that I, I didn't know what the unknown what could have happened. There was some threatening things happening. That's where I, drank and I've learned how to do a lot of stuff. I before I was even in high school, from acid to speed. You know what I mean? I was introduced to a lot of things at a very young age, but at the same time, I felt grown. You know what I mean? Like I felt like I always felt like I was an adult and never a child. I think, and the way that it stands out. Because when I think about it now and I see like, wow, why was I even there? Why was I watching that? Why was I listening to that? I see like how younger kids are, and I was that old at that time. We I tried to like get along. I got into fights. I ended up getting into fights in middle school. I don't know why. I don't know if it's the typical guy stuff or I'm tougher than you or something but it just happened. And I went to a psychiatrist, and I think by the time middle school was getting out, I eventually was able to get away from the psychiatrist. They tried to have me on like sleeping medication because they said I was hyperactive, things like that because I never went to sleep. But I still don't. I'm just a night person. I just like to stay awake and work and grind. That's how I am. I had a lot of energy. I still have a lot of energy, but I definitely got into a little bit of trouble in middle school. A group of us decided to go out every night and joyride cars. And it didn't seem like it was a bad thing. It didn't seem like I was breaking. It just felt like a game, almost like a video game. It just felt like I was just going out and we would just find cars and get in them. Well, we're all in middle school, all of us, seventh grade, I think, in fact. And we got eventually the police investigated, and they came out and arrested me. And I was supposed to go to, it's like Disneyland, but it's called Cedar Point. So it's an amusement park. And I had my friend over, and I was supposed to go the next day. So this is the Friday, and I had to face my mom in handcuffs while she was getting ready for the day, or for the next day, for the weekend, and wondering what's going on. And I think like that, seeing that face, I never wanted to see that again. Like it happened early age. So
I know that
disappointment, the disappointment that she had of me, or like it, I didn't want to see that again. Like I did not feel good, you know. And of course we didn't go to Cedar Point. You know, I had to take my friend. We had to take my friend home. And then we didn't. They didn't press charges. Nobody pressed charges. But we did a lot of community service, a lot of lawns, a lot of snow, you know, shoveling, odd jobs, and everything like that. It was the five of us. So, and then of course my mom got married, so we ended up moving out of that trailer park. So I ended up not. I was basically, you know, free of my duties of what I was doing. So then now we're going from 8th grade into freshman, going into 9th grade, going from the city, going from the suburbs, where people had their kind of one mind. They were very close minded. Me, I'm out there, I like hip hop. I want to listen to Rap City. I'm rapping. You know, I'm still doing music. That's the other thing too. I forgot to tell you. In elementary, I started writing hip hop music. And then I started working on music from the end of elementary to middle school. It carried all the way until I got injured. I always had like someone to rap with, or a group, or something like that, or a studio. And then, yeah, the place that we moved, it was, yeah, they didn't get along very well. They didn't like what I liked, you know, the things I liked, and I had to fight for that. You know, I got in. They would just fight me because I liked rap. Like, didn't make any sense. Like, just let me go to school and get through this. You know, I don't want to be here anyways. So I didn't like school. And while I was in school, the seniors, some girls, they were seniors. They came to me and was like, "Hey, Eric, you should skip with us." And I'm like, "What's skipping? What is this magical word you're talking about, skipping?" And then they were like, "Well, you just leave and you come with us, hang out with us all day, and then we bring you back. And it looks like you went to school." Okay. All right. That sounds great. So here I am, a freshman. I'm going with senior girls, skipping, going to their houses. We're having a blast. And then I come back and they're like, "You want to skip the next?" Sure do. So I skipped a lot. Like it was like a slippery slope. Once I started, I was like, then you become strategized. You strategize your skipping days. Like you go act like you get on the bus, get off the bus. You know, you're going to lunch. And then of course I had tardies. I had 72 tardies when I was in high school. I had to go to summer school.
What's that?
I mean, not summer school, but Saturday school.
What are they? Sorry?
I had 72 tardies.
I don't know what they are.
That's when you're late for class.
Right, okay.
So you're late, they mark you. I had 72. I had to go to Saturday school. So I'm not only am I going to, and then a couple classes I failed because I skipped so much. So, and sometimes I was out of school. You know, I didn't have nothing to do, so I would just leave and then come back. And then I started going to this trade school called Skill Center. And that's where I learned photography, graphic design, and printing. And Mr. Watkins basically got my act together. You know, he got me grounded. You know what I mean? Like focused. What do you do? I already had a mind. I had the head. I just didn't have the maturity to go with it, I guess. You know, I was out there wilding out.
Finding that
You said,
focus is so difficult, isn't it? For someone, I relate to so many points of your story, so many things you said. It's like, man, I did that. I did the thing when my mum found me handcuffs. I had that shame. I had that, the skipping and not wanting to do things and just always I had that overactiveness as well. And
mhm.
finding that focus for something for me was so elusive, even up and, how old was you when you found that?
Skill Center would have been junior and senior year, and it really was. So what was I, about 17, maybe 17 or
That's
18?
awesome.
Yeah, 17, somewhere around there. And I found something that I liked, like photography. I really liked it. Like I think when I find things that I love that I like to do, then I put my effort to. I mean, I do things. I'll put 100% into things I don't. If I have to work a job or something like that, because that's what I'm doing. But it's different when you're really passionate about these things. It changes everything. It doesn't even seem like work. It just seems like I'm just working on my love, my passion. So I got hip hop music and I got photography. And then he said, so I got basically structured in junior high, and then the school started looking at me. The teachers, they started saying, "Oh, this guy actually is not that bad of a guy." And then the guy that ran the school store, which is also like the business class, he was like, you want to work in the school store since you failed your couple of your classes, you're available." And I'm like, okay. So I did. And then he started to, I would say, see the potential in me and realize that I wasn't this guy that he thought I was. I actually, if people gave me an opportunity, I really was, kick ass, so he was like, and then he started talking to, basically vouching for me, like speaking out for me, like saying like, no, he actually really, and then that kind of opened the doors. And then I worked the school store twice a day, and I learned how to run everything from the inventory to the stock, the, ordering everything. So, um, yeah, and it was great. I enjoyed it. And then of course with photography, and then Mr. Watkins, when it came senior year, and I was there, and he was like, where are you going to college at? And I'm like, college? I don't even like school, man. He was like, you like photography? And I was like, yeah, I love photography. You can go to college for that. No, no, you can't. You messing with me? He was like, no, you can go to. I'm thinking, I always thought college was just an extension of high school, just more books, more, you know. I didn't really, I had no idea. And then he brought an Art Institute of Pittsburgh and Lansing Community College, and they looked at my portfolio, and I almost went to Art Institute of Pittsburgh, but I said I need a fail safe, so I didn't want to be. I'm in Michigan. I'm in Flint, and Art Institute of Pittsburgh's in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, right? Yeah, and I didn't want to go that far away. I'm like, I need something maybe an hour away in case I fail. Like for some reason, I must have known what was going to be coming, and so I created this safety net. Like if I go an hour away, well, I'm still close enough to fail back to my mom and stepdad's house. You know what I mean? If I go to Pittsburgh, I got to uplift everything and take all of it, and then coming back, that's a far away trip. So I ended up signing up with Lansing Community College, and before you know it, um, we're packing up the truck, and I waited for my friend Ryan, who's also a music artist and photographer, to get finished with his high school to graduate, and then we got a house together on the north side, um, and I was working at Myers at the time. That's a grocery store, so grocery supermarket store, here in the Midwest, and I was working there, and I transferred to the other store where that city was. And then I got Ryan a job, and so both of us were working at the same place. Both of us were going to the same photography program. Both of us lived in the same place. So after a while, we we got on each other's nerves a little bit because we were doing everything the same. And we found a studio right away, so we were also making music. We didn't start introducing friends for a while. We waited. We said we should focus on school and everything first. Don't introduce other people because then we're going to get out of focus of what we're here for, you know. And then the club life happened. Time to hit the club. Time to hit the club. And we were at the club like it was a job, you know, off to the club, you know. So here we are, and then you know, there's the after party, and we got invited to an after party. I guess the people thought, hey, these guys are cool now, or a little bit. We don't know who you are yet. So we went to the after party. We were like, all right. And this guy, Big Perm, was rapping on the microphone. He was freestyling, but I was like, yo, Ryan, you gotta do a song with him. He's amazing. Then he got done, and we told him what was up, and he was like, check you cats out. So we went to go eat. About 3 a.m. We're sitting there at this restaurant eating, kind of like a Denny's. And then he says, all right, I'll come over tomorrow and check you cats out. So we put on free, you know, instrumentals, and we're freestyling at the house. He's like, yeah, you cats are cool. He was like, I'll do a track with you guys. So we're supposed to do a collaboration. And I said, all right, I scheduled the studio time. He's never been to a studio. He's never recorded in a studio. So I said, I got it. We'll work it out. And then we had our studio time, and we came out 3 songs later, and then we became a group by the time we came home. We were all just kind of thinking about it. We collaborated so well, like we knew each other forever. You know, and when we were sitting at the dining room table, and I opened up the dictionary of the source, I don't know which one it was, and then I point to one word, and it was miscellaneous. And that's when we became miscellaneous. And that's how we were, you know.
Cool. Yeah.
We were able to not be in a box. We were able to do what we wanted to do. And we wanted to make sure that branding was us. And we were that brand. That was us. We were completely doing what we wanted to do, but also came together, you know, like Voltron. And so, you know, it's before you know it, we're going to the studio, we're performing. I'm working 2 jobs now. Ryan's working 2 jobs. Perm, the one that was, you know, at the after party, he's a bouncer at the club. So we're going to the club. So we're just busy. We didn't even ever watch TV. That's how busy we were. You know, like we didn't need it. We were having after parties at the house, going to other places, performing. And then we were celebrating our music project. It was September 19th of 97. But when it happened, it was September 20th because it was so late at night. And then that's where life's about to change.
Yeah, it's you know, I've listened to the story before, so I kind of know a bit about how it unfolded. But I mean, what was happening that night at the club?
The night at the club, Perm was working, and we went to go get him. And then everybody at the club, plus other people. Remember, there's no MySpace, there's no Facebook, so it's just word of mouth and flyers. You know, we used to go. We used to do street promotion. You know, we'd post tape up flyers in like bathroom stalls and on windows and stuff at the malls or wherever. You know, that's how we promoted the parties. And then so we picked him up, and then we went back to the house. All the bedrooms are upstairs and the bathroom. The living room, dining room's all like connected. All the furniture is outside. So it's just an empty house with a DJ. So we could fill as many people as possible. And it was a good vibe. I was in the house. I normally don't go outside and check the parking lot. That's not me. I'm always like inside just talking to people, making sure everybody's having a good time, you know? And I was just sitting on the steps inside the house, and I just like got up out of nowhere in mid conversation that I was talking to. And I just went outside, down the steps, went out in the parking lot. The DJ van was to the right of me. It's like one of them big vans with no windows, you know, except this, the driver and the passenger. And then I was coming back, and I was just making sure things were good. Just checking on things out in the parking lot. And then before you know it, like 5 minutes later, someone pulls a gun right behind me and just open fires. Pow, 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 pow. That's when I got hit with the bullet. Right, I spun to the left because I heard, you know, the noise, So the bullet went into the left side of the neck, and then it went up, and it's lodged between my third and fourth vertebrae vertically, like right behind my throat. Because sometimes when I eat like meat or something like bread, it'll tickle my throat. I'll choke, and I have to get water to like loosen the, to help it out. Um, and then I fell down to the ground, and then I wasn't able to move from my head to my leg. I wasn't able to move anything, not even my head. And then I wasn't able to breathe on my own. And I wasn't even able to speak. I wasn't able to let them know I'm alive. I wasn't able to ask for help. I wasn't able to do anything. Like I was just there, struggling, trying to survive. I could hear and I could go. I was in and out of consciousness on the cement. People running chaos, and someone's been shot. Eric's been shot. And there's no cell phones really at that time. It was like more landlines. So there wasn't like where everybody could call their cell phone or, shoot video or stuff like that. So none of that was really available. And then before, I was just there. And then before you know it, the ambulance gets there and they transport me from the scene to the hospital. And then when I'm in the hospital, the ER, they're taking these 4 screws in this metal cage. They place this metal cage on your head that's strapped down to your waist like football pads, and then they drill screws in your skull. They take a drill and like bring this, like they're putting up blinds or something, but they're drilling this thing into your skull, above your right ear, above your left ear, and then your forehead, which it
fully
healed up
awake,
really good. Yeah.
fully
You can see
conscious,
like a
drilling into
little
your head.
indentation right there above my eyebrow. You
Yeah,
can see a little, but it used to be big.
Fuck.
It used to be big circles, but used a lot of vitamin E when they were in, and they tighten it every Sunday. So they come into your thing and they use a screwdriver and tighten the screws. So I had that, and then of course I wasn't able to breathe, so they put tubes in my throat. They call that intubation, and then they put a feeding tube in there with the tubes down the throat. And before you know it, you've been through so much pain. You're on a level of pain that you've never experienced. There's no way to actually give it a name. It's the unexplainable pain that's unexplainable. I guess that's the brand of it, And then it's numb too. You're just like numb. You're pulsating. You're like, it's like you're waving. Like it's kind of like if you drink a lot and the world tilts and it moves. It's kind of like that too. So it's also moving. You're not. It's just. It's like waves, and you can hear the echo too of the bullet too. Still just ricocheting in your body. And then you're out, and then I wake up, and my mom and my mom, stepdad, and dad and stepmom, and friends, and some medical staff, and that's where they let you know you're not ever gonna move again. You're not ever gonna breathe again, and we don't even know if you're gonna survive. And they're like, do you understand me? And I had to communicate with eye blinks, like once for yes and twice for no. And at that time, I don't think there's time to think about what's what. Every emotion's going through your body, but you don't have time to go, whoa, I'll never walk again, or will I walk again, or will I move my arm? Like it's survival. You're in survival mode. What do they call that? Fight or flight mode. You're fighting for your life. And then it just goes. A day seems like a week. I don't know. There's no way to really calculate how long a day is because it all seems like it's all one day. You know, and then the only time that that there's maybe day and night is because the light outside of your window, and maybe when they're not there, because at nighttime they're gonna leave, the hospital room, and then that's where the medical staff injects you with like Ativan or some kind of thing to put you out, and then you're out. But every dream turned into a nightmare. Every time I tried to sleep, I actually tried not to sleep. Like was not. I was just awake, just awake. There wasn't no sleeping patterns. There wasn't nothing. It was just it was just a chaos snowball happening. There's no days, there's no seconds, there's no nights, there's no nothing. It's just you're there in existence, struggling to survive. You know, and of course, after like a couple weeks or maybe a week, then that's when they say the medical staff figures or the doctors, he'll never breathe on it again on his own, so we're going to give him a trach. And so that's when they take the tubes out of your mouth and they put them in your throat. It's called a tracheotomy. And so now you got this big machine, life support breathing for you through through your throat. But you can now do this. So what you used to communicate with eye blinks, you can now communicate with tongue clicks, and you can move your mouth so people can read your lips. And then you're still surviving, but you're starting to now not be in critical condition. So it's starting to look good. It's starting to look better. The TV's on, so I guess by the TV you can now start to know this program comes at this time. Now I'm able to eat, so I'm eating breakfast. So now the days start to become days based on like, okay, this nurse is coming in, I'm getting cereal, this TV program's on, must be this time. Then now it's this time. Oh, okay, family's coming to visit me. Oh, here it is, lunchtime. Now things are starting to come into like a 24-hour day. It's starting to come back, but originally, I couldn't tell you when it was. I know that I woke up in the morning to dump. Well, it was early morning because I got shot like at 3 or something, 2 o'clock in the morning. So, but yeah, there was no track of time. Time was just ticking. But
so when did you start really thinking about what's going on? I'm here. What happened and where what does the future hold? When did you start to have those kind of thoughts?
Survival was only thought. In the hospital, you want to survive. You got the detective that comes and you're trying to communicate with eye blinks. I forgot, not tongue clicks yet. And they're not really investigating it. And then people are coming to the hospital and saying who they think it did or who they thought it did. And then I'm under an alias too. So people are coming with their nicknames. I don't know who to let in, who to approve, because I only know this person by their nickname, not by their real name. It wasn't focused. The focus was survival. So I guess I was focused. I was focused on surviving. Because if I wasn't, then I wouldn't have made. When you got a straw sticking down my trach, suctioning the secretions out of my lungs for an hour because I'm not able to breathe, I'm either going to we're going through it or I'm checking out. So the focus is 100% survival. Do what we got to do to survive. And then maybe after a month, that's when you start, thinking about, okay, how long is this going to be? Is this permanent? Is this temporary? You start hearing about rehab. You start getting physical therapy. That's where you start kind of learning about everything. But the first month, no, you don't know anything. You just got to survive. Once I was able to survive and get to the step down unit too. Remember, I'm in ICU, critical condition, and then you go to a step down unit. So, well, then you just start to figure out things. They start telling you there's this place rehab, and you're like, well, what's the next goal? The next goal is to get off the ventilator. That was the next goal. That was the next biggest goal, to get off the vent. Survive and then get off the vent. Breathe again. I want to breathe again. Yes, that's 100%. Not I want to walk again. Not I want to move again. I want to breathe again. I want to get this off of me. Get this tube out. And so there's a place called Craig Hospital in Denver, Colorado, or Inglewood, Colorado. And they specialize getting people off the ventilator. So they came out and did an assessment with me. So that they're pretty sure that they could do it, that they could get me off the vent. So that was our decision maker. So before you know it, October 29th, 97, I'm on a plane, heading out to Inglewood, Colorado, ready for rehab, ready for boot camp. Boot camp for sure.
So you had a very much a one goal at a time, one day at a time, almost mindset.
Yeah.
It was really just picking the next thing that was in your control to actually do, that's an amazing mindset to have. Was there someone that helped you with that? Because I know with my drug addiction, that's kind of something that they implement, is like, you need to focus on what you can control, not what you can't. You need to live one day at a time, and and one moment at a time, and focus on what's in your power to do. Did you have that? Did that kind of just happen for you, or was there someone that really helped you with that?
No, I think it just happened, but I think it was watching other people through my childhood. I'm an observer. I observe, and I share, like, I talk to people. They share their stories, and I learn. You know,
That's
so
amazing, because most of us don't. I didn't.
I sometimes I don't. It's not always that. Not every time do I learn. I learn the hard way too. I've definitely done that. Um, I just always ask questions. I'm a person that asks questions. I don't like to make assumptions. Um, I want to know how things work. I want to know why this is this, and so I've always had a focus on those things. But I think it's just, it's that was 20 years of life experience living up to that time that it happened. So you take those 20 years, all the things that's happened in those 20 years came back in a positive way to help me survive where I am now. That's really interesting too. Even the bullying got me tough. I mean, like, it got me where I was able to handle things, handle some messed up stuff. Because dealing with this in the beginning, you got to have a mind. You got to be able to handle things. You can't just you got to be able to really be tough, like whatever that is. Um, Other experiences that I witnessed, uh, with my dad's second wife. My her daughter at a young age, at 7 and I was 5, got hit by a car and was killed. Well, that relationship with my dad's second wife, it was like, it was rocky. There was a lot of things like where we just didn't get along well. And I think maybe because her daughter wasn't around, her daughter died. And so I think she was trying to deal with grief and she didn't know how to deal with that young grief, and I happened to be the target, basically.
Yeah.
Why is he alive and my daughter is not? We're almost the same age. So I had to deal with that too, that mental, stuff that I had to deal with. Um, and then it just all came, everything just like came back full circle. And it was like what seemed like things that were not good were the things that helped me survive. You know, there isn't just one person, there's multiple people throughout the journey that it's almost like a puzzle piece. And I'm picking up the pieces as this journey goes and then piecing
Yeah.
it together and putting it together. So there wasn't really people I listened to like on TV that was like, yeah, you have to, that said this is how it, or this is how you practice on one goal at a time and stuff. I don't even think though at that time too that I would call it a goal. That I didn't have those words out my mouth or in my mind that this is a goal. I think it was just like, this is what we need to do. Even though it's a goal, I didn't like say goal 1, we're going to survive, but it was a goal, but I don't think I said it was a goal. It was just like, this is what we got to accomplish. Do
It
this.
sounds like you wasn't kind of in your, even though like you're kind of in your mind, and you must have been, kind of living in your mind, but still, I mean, most people in that situation would have been eaten alive by it. And it sounds like you kind of had your mind on your side to a degree. I mean, I don't know if that's true or not, but it's amazing that you didn't. I don't know how I would fare up with that situation. I really just don't know, because my mind eats me alive sometimes, and it's just always thinking about, I mean, some words I've had to shut out of my life as it is are words like "I wish" or "what if."
Mhm.
There's some corrosive, insidious words, aren't they, that I've had to shut out because they send you absolutely nuts. I mean, that's amazing. I mean, was your mind kind of reasonably on your side through the whole process?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, um, I thought about, I just thought about the things that I wanted to do. In my mind, I'm gonna get out. I'm gonna go back to the life I was living. So kind of, what do you call that? Not listening to reality too at the same time. Like, what do they call it? Naive, right? I think that's what that is, or it's, or no, stubborn. That's what it is. Stubborn. Lots of stubbornness, So, but the stubbornness actually was probably a motivator, you know. So I was thinking, I'll get out. I'll brush this, it's just a shooting. I'm paralyzed. So I brush it off the shoulder, and I'll get back to college, and I'll go find a house, get back to my life, and everything's gonna be all right. So you're thinking those things. Um, but then all of a sudden, this other part comes in, and I think that's reality, and it goes, it's like, well, how you gonna work? How you gonna get around? How you gonna transfer yourself? Like, who's gonna take care of you? How you gonna what about your friends? You ain't seen them. What are they gonna do? They're gonna do this. Like, who's gonna care for you? How you gonna go to college? How you even gonna move? And then this before the wheelchair. Then you're like, no, no, it's gonna be all good. It's almost like a two-way like almost like two-way. This two conversations going on in the mind. But the main thing is where you have to have the focus. That's where you like butt them both out and like say what the focus is this. And then when we get there, like I didn't say I'm gonna go. Well, actually, when they said I would never rap again, I was like, it'll happen again. Like I just knew it would happen again. Some way, sometime, and somewhere, it was going down that I was gonna make music and perform again. Did I know that I was gonna own a business at that time? I didn't go, yeah, I'm gonna own a business, or I wasn't even able to talk yet, so I'm still tongue clicking and stuff like that. Am I going to own a business? That's my goal. Like, no, I did not say that. Now, I did have a childhood dream to own my own clothing line. So that I've always had that dream. So that was there. Um, but then I started being able to say, you know what? Like, I survived. And I started learning about people with disabilities. And I was like, I'll be able to help people. I'll be able to help people's lives. Like, I'll be able to help people that own have a disability, you know? I'll be able to like go speak on a different stage from one stage to this other stage, and drug counseling or jails, all that stuff. So I started thinking about that. Now I didn't realize that I was doing like when I was in rehab that I was talking. I finally was able to talk, and then the medical staff would say, "Can you go down and talk to this person? They came in, they were shot also. If they're having a really hard time." So I'd go in there. I didn't know I was doing like mentoring and advocating. I didn't know that's what it was called. So I started doing it in rehab, and I don't know. Like it's just something that came like, out of what the situation. It's empowered, from the shooting, it empowered resilience and inspired change. That's just like my name, ERIC, inspiring resilience, inspire, empowering resilience, inspiring change,
That's amazing. I mean, I've got a quote here that you said in the other podcast, and it's "Getting shot released my potential."
Oh yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, like, yeah, I mean, it, it, it was there. Some people go the other way and they get bitter and they get angry and they they get isolated, but that's also that circle of support. So I'm not saying that that's not saying anything about that, because people can handle things differently, but they also might not have had supports. They may have had no family, no friends, no nothing. So that's the other thing. You got a good support system, that's a big factor. But it seems like whatever was within just got intense. Like it just got released more. Like it was like the volume was on 20, and then someone came and cranked it past like busting your eardrum, you know? So, and that's kind of what it was like. And it did the opposite, you know, like if you saw me, then you would see like light and electricity around me from afterwards or something, to try to explain like the intensifying of it. Um, and then
Unbelievable. Well, you know what? One of the things that's kind of, because you haven't mentioned it yet, but one of the things that kind of, really when I trying to put myself in your position and really thinking about how does that feel? One of the things that you haven't mentioned is that you don't know who did it, and
no,
the frustration that must have been around that situation, and the police kind of didn't investigate it, did they? They kind of just brushed the whole thing to the side, which was, that must have been so frustrating. I mean, I have no how did you deal with that?
they blamed it on the culture of music. They said that's what come with the territory. Want to do hip hop music? Want to do that? That's what comes with the territory. I think what they were saying is you want to be around and have friends with people that are not just like look like you. I think that it was definitely, and I've had other friends say that, oh, you know what no, this is what they were saying. I was like, yeah, that's what I figured they were saying, but yeah, it was kind of like that. That was the more frustrating thing, When I was in rehab, I gave forgiveness to whoever did it, so that's done. So forgiveness was given. Forgive, and when I say forgiveness, that means it's done. Like people say, well, what if aren't you going to go out? I'm like, it's done. Like when that cord was cut, I had an anchor. Then the cord was cut and my ship sailed. And that's it. Like they've never been able, that situation has never been able to hold me back, or that person or people with anything. And I've said it before, if I ever was face to face with them, I would just, one, you hope that they don't do it to anybody else. I guess that's the main thing. You don't want them to do anybody else. Okay, but say they, we know that. And then I would just be, either it's time for me to know why they did it, or it's not. All I'm going to do is just tell them, this is what I've done since.
Yeah.
Not boast about it. Just say, look, this is what I've done. I don't know. It's, you don't know what their back. I said it before. You don't know. They could have been a drug addict. They could have been born in the system of drugs. They could have been abused. They could have been. There's so many different things, scenarios, and variables of what could have been about their upbringing that you don't know. You know what I mean? They could have been intoxicated and really didn't want to do it, but because they had a gun in their hand, they felt power. And their thought process was kind of deliberate. It was cloudy. They could have been on acid that made them more powerful. Like, oh, I got more power, or something. Any type of, those different things. So I don't know. Or they could have been sober and they were a stone cold killer and they tried to kill me.
It's amazing. I mean, I think if people, complete speculation, by the way, I don't know shit about it, but like to kill someone, I think usually you would really have to have a really strong motive, and it sounds like there wasn't. And I think the only way I can see these situations coming around is like, some kid who's had absolutely no love in their life has found some place to belong. They've been bullied and whatever and rejected by everyone. Some gang or whatever has given them, been like, you're one of us, and if you want to be one of us, you've got to do this thing. Because no one wants to shoot someone, you know what I mean, without a motive. It's a rotten thing to do. No, I don't think people want to do that, and getting pressured into doing that. And it's like, you're out when you're jacking cars when you're younger. It's just dumb shit when you're a kid, and like I've done so much dumb shit that I regret so much. Not as extreme as that, I mean, that's really at the extreme end of the spectrum, but I can still relate to that through doing stupid shit to impress my mates. And but it's gnarly. You know what I mean? It's really extreme. But I think that shows, like, to me, real strength is being able to forgive, and if you can't forgive, you aren't strong. No matter what you think, if you can't forgive someone, it's only weakness that actually stops you from doing that, because there ain't no amount of anger in the world that makes your life better, is there?
No, and I don't think people realize how much mental weight that puts on you. and sickness, that it can create a lot of things. It can hold you back. Like, why let something in this world hold you back for what you want to achieve? And what does it hurt? It's only hurting you. It's not hurting them. They did what they did. That's not hurting them. You know, it's hurting you. It's hurting your progress. It's hurting your momentum. It's hurting your inspiration. It's hurting your moving forward. It's hurting your growth. It's hurting your mind. It's hurting your physical. It's damaging to your health, and it's other people too around you. Because if you start taking in, it's almost like you take in the anger of the person that did it. You start to become them. With like, oh, I don't like that. They start, and then other people don't want to be around you. They don't want to. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear you be so negative. You know, we got enough negative stuff that we deal with every day on the
Oh,
TV, everywhere. We need some positive people in our life. We need some
yeah,
positive
man.
stuff. We need some positive things happening, man. We need some good news. We need some good news of the day. We need to. So, you know, I had I knew I had more to do. I knew that I wanted to accomplish more. I was, when I was growing up, man, I put goals together. Didn't call them goals at that time. I put something down on paper and say I'm going to achieve it. Buy a bike, raise money or whatever. Maybe I did call it goals and I just don't remember. Maybe there was something that I just strategized and I called them goals and achievements and dreams. That's possible. I just don't remember that I called them goals at the time.
It's
But
just made.
I would get so close to certain stuff and I never accomplished it because something happened. So it's like the little engine that could, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can, and they get pushed back down. And I was getting pushed down or climbing the mountain. I'm about to get to the top of the mountain and I hit a snowball and roll all the way back to the beginning. And I get back up and, back up we go. And here it is again. Get hit again and go back up, start over. Here we go again. And when I was there, I was down on the ground. I was like, not now. Like, I really, like, I was just about to have this music project. Like, I was like, oh, I was like so close to this achievement and where it was going to go. I was so excited to where it was going to take us, and yeah. So,
You made me think of a story. I've not read it. I don't even know if it's in the Bible. But I was watching the movie Paul, Apostle of Christ, and there's a bit in that movie or story, however you want to look at it. I'm a movie guy, but anyway, so I watched this thing, and there's a bit where like the Romans have like murdered this little kid, like just kicked him to death, basically, and they're all hiding. All the Christians are all kind of hiding, and there's this big uproar. And all these guys are going to take up arms, go out and just basically go to war with all these guys, just go and murder them basically. And then one of the guys is just like, you have an opportunity right now. There isn't really any love in this world, but love starts with you. You have the opportunity in this moment to love, and you get to you get to do that. You get to be that.
yeah,
And that's a powerful position to be in, because that with that whole forgiveness thing. Forgiving is choosing to love, and it
yeah,
is the gnarliest thing, and it's one of the hardest things that we can do. So I just think, like, out of every that alone is just unbelievably inspiring. You make me feel incredibly full of excuses as well. I'm trying to be more
I'm not
more
trying to make
courageous.
it. I know
I'm trying to be
I
more
don't try
courageous
to.
these
I
days.
don't try to, but like, I mean, I guess I just should embrace it because I guess maybe it's a good thing sometimes, because I've heard that before from other
It's
people.
beautiful.
But then I say too, you don't know what you're capable of until you're faced with things. I hear
It
stories and
requires.
I'm like, I say the same thing that you say, like, oh man, I would not want to go through that. And they're so strong, and then and I tell them, I would not want to do that. It doesn't sound, but they say, and then the way they talk about it, they're like, yeah, you know, like I did it, you know, and it's like they're calm about it. I'm like, oh heck no, forget that. Like, no way. So we're like sharing war story, you know, like stories and stuff. But it just, you know, we we're faced with things, we're challenged with things, and we can go both ways. We can survive or we don't. You know, we can lay there and wither away. I mean, it's all about the importance of what do you want in life. I mean, we only have one. You know, what do you want to do? Then that's the thing. Like, don't let things hold you back, because there's times that, like, I mean, I was 20. I thought I had more time. You know, I would be like, oh yeah, I'll take care of that, or I'll do that. Like, nope. I got, life caught up with me and said, nope, you put that off. And so I'm saying that, for the listeners, like, they should, if there's things that they want to do, like if it's positive, like not hurting anyone, that to go after it. Don't wait around, because you don't know, like, what the next day is. You don't know. And why wait around? Like, why, I guess I just got this vision. Imagine the person that put $1 million in the bank and they saved it. And every day they're, no, I'm not going to spend it yet. I'm not going to spend it yet. I'm going to save a little bit more, and I'm not going to spend it. I'm not going to spend it. And I'm not going to spend it. I'm not going to spend it. Then they're like, oh yeah, you know what? I'm going to take this vacation this weekend. I'm finally going to spend my money. And then they pass away.
That's a sad situation. I think that's an old school idea. My generation's real good at spending it. We ain't got no money. We're just too good at
But
spending it. I feel like I need to get a little bit better at the saving. A
yeah,
little
well,
bit
I
too in
mean,
the
there's
moment.
like financial intelligence, but there's times where it's like you're waiting and you need to just live life, because I didn't know. Like, I had no, you know what I'm saying? I had no idea. I didn't
Yeah.
ask for it. I didn't project it, or like, it just, life happened, and it completely changed a lot of things. Not just mine, but multiple people. It's like a rock going into, calm water, and the ripples that you see. Well, those ripples still are rippling today all over the
Yeah.
earth. And it's just if you want to start a business, then do it. Do your homework, watch a few podcasts, do some studying, ask people that own the same businesses. Don't just jump with, and know your why, know your how, and then do it, and see how you do. Don't worry, don't perfect the pitch. Like, don't wait till it's perfect and polished. Just go out and do it. And then,
Yeah.
because you're gonna learn. You're gonna make mistakes. You're gonna do great things, or you're gonna do not so, like, and then you just take it and you do better. And business gets better, and you're custom and everything. But you got to talk to people that own similar businesses or something. You got to get mentors. You got to do some work. You got to do homework before you just jump. I mean, like, you could spontaneously jump if you wanted to. That that's what you need to do. But me, I'm a homework person. I kind of do my homework. I go on the internet. I talk to other people before I decide to do something like that. Same, but don't hold back. Just do do it. Like, just when you're able to, you're healthy, whatever it is, the barrier. If you're healthy enough and you want to do it, then just go do what you got to do. Like, write out your thing, write out your goals, write them out 6 months. What are your personal 6 months? What's your business? What's your health goals? Put timelines on them. If you don't make the timeline, don't beat yourself up. Just redo it. Like, figure it out. Everybody doesn't meet every goal timeline, because things that life happens. But at least you have a target that you're aiming at, and you have a deadline to when this target has to be achieved. You know, because if
I
not,
talk.
you're just aiming in the wind. You're just like, hey, throw that ball at the sky. Okay.
Yeah,
Throw that ball at the
that's
bottom.
it's good
It's
advice. It's good advice. I struggle getting the balance between those things. I'm real good at getting it done, just starting. I'm real good at that, and then
Yeah.
doing the planning side of it, and doing the homework side of it. That's something I've had to cultivate, that effort and focus, and I found, it's really helpful not to go out all the time and not to be around people all the time. I've kind of withdrawn and from that and spend a lot more time at home, kind of sat at a desk actually working some stuff out. But I still find it hard. But yeah, if you want any success in anything you do need to put in a lot of effort, and you do need to do the research, don't you? And it's something that I'm learning quite painfully. We'll talk about the business shortly because it's super interesting. But there's a couple of other questions I'll ask first. What was the rehab process like? What was that aimed towards, and what did you get out of that?
Boot camp. The first day of rehab, the respiratory therapist comes to you, puts this pulsometer on you, and then turns the ventilator. Okay, how you doing? I'm blah blah blah. Then I'm gonna be turning the ventilator off for 30 seconds. You gotta breathe.
Oh,
Breathe. Wow. I don't know what to do. Do I push? Do I pull? I don't know what. But the pulsometers, let me know my O2 levels are up, so I'm doing something. So it's like biofeedback. Then it's the longest 30 seconds. Then they turn it back on. They're like, "You did great. All right. See you in a couple more hours." They do that 3 times a day, 5 days a week. They may not do it like that now, but that's what they did with me. And then, so you do that throughout the day, your weekdays, and then you also have physical therapy. So physical therapy, I think they worked more like on my legs and stuff like that. That's what they were doing. And then occupational therapy, that's where they worked on like my upper half and stuff. So, you would get transferred to a mat. They would stretch you, whip you over on your stomach, do head raises, and try to do sit-ups and crunch it, whatever they can try to get you to do. Put you on arm things. They're just trying to work out every part of your body that they could possibly spark a nerve or spark a muscle or something like that. And then you also have where you learn about technology, like assistive technology, how to work a computer with your voice or your mouth or your breath, things like that. Moving the mouse taking a mouse stick, taking the mouse stick and then using that. It's like a long metal straw that's really heavy with like a tip, like a stylus tip at the end of it. And that looks like a football. Go to sleep. It looks like a football mouth guard in your mouth. You're like, oh, let me push buttons. And so, yeah, that's called a mouse stick.
That was you actually using it then, wasn't it? Go to sleep. You can actually operate the whole computer with voice command, which is, it's really impressive. It's it's amazing.
Yeah, it thought I was talking to it because it's got commands. You say the W word or the G word, we'll go to sleep. But if I say the W word, then it's going to be like, oh, you want me to type now? So I must have said the W word. I don't know what. So I'm not sure, but so yeah, like you so you got occupational therapy, physical therapy, assistive technology, and then you got lunch. So you go back to your room, eat your lunch. The person feeds you while you're watching this little small TV that's like on an arm bracket. It's a little mini TV. It's kind of cool because you can move it around your bed and stuff on both ways. And then you go to Tetra class, and Tetra class is like a educational class about you and your new body, basically. How things run. How do you do a bowel program? How do you watch your skin? How do you do weight shifts? How do you prevent skin breakdown? How do you go pee? How do you empty a leg bag? How do you have a relationship? How do you have sex? Can you have kids? How do you have kids? Teaching people how to take care of you. Providing like directing your care. How do you want to be taken care of? All that stuff. So that's the education class. So it's like school, but it's boot camp. It's and then the weekends are for you. You get the weekends. They got a recreational area. They do karaoke and people are playing pool. Because remember, not everybody's paralyzed from the neck down. Some people can move their arms. Some people can walk. So there's people that have spinal cord injuries that are walking around. Yeah, and it was spinal and head injuries. So they're doing karaoke, or they go on outings. There's the football games, basketball games, movies, Dave and Buster's, different outings and stuff. The mountains, Pikes Peak. So yeah, so you sign up for the outings too. And so
One
it was like going to camp, summer camp, going to boot camp and school, and then learning and surviving and making new friends, making new, and then and it's just and learning. It was fun. It was work. There was ups, there was downs, there was forwards, there was backwards, there was 40 steps ahead and 50 steps backwards. But uh, you're learning, you're rebuilding yourself back. You're able to, you're learning how to sit up without passing out, because when you sit up, your blood pressure drops and you pass out. Then you're also getting equipped into a wheelchair. So they bring a new different wheelchair. So I did chin control, head control, and sip and puff. And so I went with the sip and puff. So I control the chair by my breath. Hard puff forward, hard sip backwards, soft puff right, soft sip left. So then once you figure out what chair function you want to use, then they start figuring out your chair option. Okay, we're going to order your wheelchair. This is what it's going to be. It's going to be the sip and puff chair, power chair. It's going to be this seat cushion. What seat cushion is good for you? So all that stuff's going on too at the same time. They're fitting you for your chair. They're fitting you for your seat cushion. They're fitting you for what function do you want to drive the chair. I wanted to use sip and puff. They're also fitting you for your catheter. So how are you going to pee? There's the condom catheter. Looks like a condom, slides on you. It's got a tube, goes into a bag. There's straight cath, where you don't have anything in you, and someone every 2 to 3 hours has got to stick a tube up your pee hole and cath you, which that got old quick, because it was like 3 a.m. and I got this, 70-year-old, hey, time to cath you. I'm like, man, it's 3 a.m. Like, come on. So yeah, it felt like I didn't have any independence. Then there's a thing called a suprapubic catheter. So it's right below your belly button. And what they do is they do a surgery and they open, it's almost like a piercing. And the catheter goes right below the belly button. I get that changed like every 2 weeks. And it takes like 10 minutes to change. I'm like, it's like an oil change. I go in there, they release the balloon, which keeps the catheter in the bladder. And then they pull that one out and put the new one in, put saline into the balloon, and make sure, tug on it. Yep, it's good. And then flush it. And then hook it back up to the extension tube to the bag. Doesn't take long at all. Does it hurt? Yeah, most definitely. So that's something in rehab that you're going to do. You're going to tell them what bladder option you want to go with. You're going to tell them what bowel options you want to go with. How are you going to do your bowel program? So these are all the things. All this stuff is happening in rehab. So you're it's trial and error. And then you figure out what works for you, because what works for me does not work for everybody else. And then you learn how to set up. Yeah.
One thing that you said was that when you got shot, it didn't just affect your life; it affected everybody's.
Most definitely.
And I mean, how did everybody? Did people really step up around you? I mean, it is a challenge to do that, and just show you what you made of, really. And whether you are. I mean, have you got any advice that you can give to anybody who might be in a situation where they have to kind of step up to something like that?
Well, I could give advice on both ends. If it happens to you and you need help, don't feel prideful. Ask for help. You're going to need help. Okay, so you're going to have to stop that, because you're going to need help, because it could be with care, it could be with fundraising, it could be with technology. You're going to need help. Okay, so build your support system, build your circle of supports. That's what I say to that. The other thing is too, don't get frustrated if people don't understand. If you have friends that were there and they're not around anymore because they're not able to deal with it. But it's not, that's okay. Don't hold it against them. People just handle things differently. Everybody handles things differently. And if you got friends that are willing to learn, then cool, teach them, about you and how to take, the things that need to be done. Just, kind of go through it, walk with them, get a person that knows to show them, so that they can see firsthand. You'll be able to make new friends. So don't. They're there, and when you make these new friends, they're gonna be great friends because now they know you in that situation. They're sticking around. Um, and then you got your family. You got family that sticks with you. You got some family that doesn't understand, and you got some that you just don't see anymore. So that's on that end. If you're going to take care, or if something happens to a family member or a friend, and you're the person that's got to be able to handle it, don't feel bad if you don't beat yourself up if you're not able to, but give it time. Give it time because everybody's also trying to figure things out, which you might not think you can handle right now. Wait it out a little bit and see. Maybe you don't have to take care of the person. Maybe you can just be a watcher and just watch other people care for that person and then go, okay, maybe I'm comfortable now. Maybe 2-3 months go down the road. I think I'm comfortable feeding you. Maybe they weren't. Maybe they are now. So don't write it off yet. If they're important to you, if they're a friend. Because of course every friend is not going to be comfortable with this stuff, but give it time and let them observe, let them kind of break the ice or be comfortable. Some people can jump right in it. Oh yeah, I'm a caregiver, or and wow, and some people don't. So on those, and so if you're that, where the situation happens, you're all learning. It takes years. It takes years to learn this stuff. Years. We're still learning. It's 23 years later. We're still coming up with things and learning things. Having backup plans of backup plans, and so those are the things. Frustration will happen, but just communicate. The other thing, the person's not giving. If a person needs like direction or they need help, they're not giving like orders. They're just trying to say what they need. Like, can you turn the light off? Or I need a drink, or or maybe they need a drink and the light off or something. They're just stepping it out. They're mapping out what they don't need it at the very everything done at 1 second. They're just saying like, oh, after you do that, can you do this and do this? It's like a map, So some people will be like, oh, you're barking, or you're like, oh, I'm getting orders. And like, no, I'm just trying to say what just needs to be done. That's all. So
Yeah. That's awesome. I bet you've been able to help so many people kind of navigate that. I bet that's a difficult thing to navigate for everybody to get through. And I think it's really, valuable to be able to pass that on.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's difficult. I mean, it's challenging, but you just gotta figure out. It's communication. If you can have communication, then you'll be able to, do whatever. You just gotta have direct, same page communication. We're on the same page. You're on the same page. Okay. But yeah, and there's friends that just completely never been around again. They just absolutely couldn't deal with it. Couldn't see me in that way. Okay, that's I'm not. I don't know what I would do if I was in your position. Or, well, I mean, I know what I do now because but I'm around a lot of people in this now, But if it was brand new, never met a person that had a disability, and I got to do this, I don't, you know what I mean? Like it's so.
Yeah, some amazing, advice in there. Not just for your situation, but for everybody's lives, really. Asking for help and not being too proud for ask for help. I suffer from that, and and all of those things are relatable to all of us. And I think it's really valuable. Thank you for sharing all that with us, Eric. When did you actually become an entrepreneur?
Child.
Yeah.
When Nintendo came out.
Born entrepreneur.
When Nintendo came out, there was a video store across the street. So I used to watch how VHS, beta, late fees. I used to pay attention to everything. And then when Nintendo came out, I wanted to build my Nintendo collection. So I put together a business where I rented my Nintendo games. I rented them to the neighborhood kids. And so basically,
Cool.
money from that put back in, I'm able to get more games. And I just basically, and everybody was happy because they didn't have to buy they didn't have to buy the games. They could just get the games from me, and then we would build the collection. And they could, most people, they get a Nintendo game, all they want to do is beat it, and they're like, okay, back in the day, we want to beat it, we want to get to the end, and then we're like, oh, what's the next challenge? So that was the beginning. That was the start. And then the Detroit newspaper, the Detroit News, they came around the neighborhood and they wanted people to sign up. So I did door knocking. Would you like to sign up for the Detroit newspaper? And then but the the motive the grinding that I did there, the Flint Journal heard about me getting people signed up for Detroit News. It's kind of funny too, but it's kind of like two teams. And I kind of thought that they were on the same team, but then the Flint Journal's like, the paper route's going to be opening up here. We need a person to do the paper route. So then I became a paper boy. So now I'm going from the Detroit News, and now I'm becoming this paper boy, Flint Journal paper boy. And my delivery, I had my route. So on weekdays after school, I delivered the paper, and then on weekends, I was up at 5, 4 in the morning, rolling the papers, getting it ready because I had to have them delivered by 6, 7 o'clock before the person woke up in the morning with their breakfast. They had to have that Saturday and Sunday paper, to read. So you had to have it early in the morning. And at that time, not only was I getting the paper, it's getting dropped off, you roll it, rubber band it, bag it, deliver it. Then I had to go collect from the people that had the paper. So now I got this little blue book, knocking on the door. I'm here to collect the money for the journal. Oh, I don't got my checkbook on me. Oh, my checkbook's in the other car. Oh, I don't have any cash on me. You guys, every excuse you could think of for the paper, and I'm like, and it made me have to come back. I got to come back and collect. I am now a bill collector of the thing that I delivered. Like, how do they get away with it? How do they get away with it? How do they get me to get the paper, roll it, supply it, deliver it, and then go collect on it? And then once a month, the person would come to my house and open up my blue money bag with the ledger, with the who I collected from, and then they would look at the money, and then they would say, okay, here's your cut. Here's your cut. Here's your percentage. Like, but you were happy. You're like, oh, I'm gonna put this toward my bike. I'm just going to. I'm trying to go to. I'm trying to get a bike because I raced BMX at that time. I did skateboard, but I raced BMX. That was fun, and I bowled too. I was gonna be a professional bowler. That was one dream. I wanted to be a professional bowler, and then I started working, and then it didn't happen. When I started working at 15 and a half at Burger King, that was it. Like where I went, I worked like I owned the place. My mom always said, you leave the place better than what you found it as. So now it installed in me. You know what I'm saying? I go work somewhere. I'm working
Nice.
like I own the business. I'm never met you. I'm doing 100%. And a lot of times they start noticing that. They take advantage of that. They're like, oh yeah, when we can cut labor here, Eric can handle it. Eric can handle that and that. We're like 3 or 4 jobs. We'll be good. We cut labor, save us money. Bottom line. Learn that early. Like, okay, you're gonna do that? I get free food. We gotta have a barter here. Like, we need to barter. You're gonna make me work all these jobs. We need some food. I need food. I like food. So
Yeah.
it came down to that where I would eat and then I had to put it on I had to write it down. But it was free. So I guess
I like food as well.
I did.
You
I got
get me
bartered
with food
for
any day.
Whoppers and stuff and chicken sandwiches. So yeah, the Flint Journal. The Flint Journal went shoveling snow, mowing lawns before I got in trouble. With that, I was always doing odd jobs, just ways to make money. And I had an allowance, so I had to keep the house, the trailer clean, the bedroom, the bathroom, all that stuff. You know what I mean? then I just put that towards, you know, I knew that money didn't grow on trees because I heard it plenty of times. You think money grows on trees? Well, Walter, if I did, well, we got to get a money tree. Me being a smart aleck, I definitely have added, that fuel to the fire of being a smart ass, you know. And then I just once I started, like I said, working, I worked at Burger King, I worked co-op with the school, and then my friend owned a pager shop, and I started hustling there. Started, getting pager accounts, and so I was still in high school. So me being able to have the page, I'm the pager guy. You come to me, So I was selling accounts, and then I worked at Kenny Rogers Roasters Chickens. I was working at Burger King, Kenny Rogers, doing the paper stuff, all at the same time while doing music, and then doing and then I went from there to Myers, the grocery store. Then when I was at the grocery store, then I was working at American Collegiate, a marketing firm. And then I was at both of those jobs and then doing music and college and everything. And then after the shooting happened and I was back home, I went back to my mom and stepdad's house. Then the entrepreneur journey didn't stop. I opened up a record company. I learned how to do the articles of incorporation through the internet. I incorporated my company, Miscellaneous Records Inc. And I got artists, and we did good for a minute, and then I had to shut it down. I was going against the grain because it was more work than I needed to, than the reward at that time. And then from that hustle, this guy in Detroit heard about me. He had a promoter newspaper, an entertainment newspaper, hip hop, R&B, and he wanted me to write for the newspaper, which I write by voice, and then deliver it, and I could sell ads. And the paper was free, so I didn't have to go collect. I could sell ads though. Well, I knew how to do that because I had paper boy experience. So it came back, like I told you earlier, all the stuff that I did came back, and like, that's like the time to use the tool full force. And then I did that for 5 years. He shut the paper down, and I was like, what am I doing now? And there was this person that said, well, the state of Michigan got a grant for mentoring. So then I was going and communicating, learning about mentoring people with disabilities and their caregivers and stuff like that. That went on for a few years, and then the new administration came in, and the grant was chopped. So no more grant, no more mentoring. And then I said, what am I going to do now? And then I had my love of music, and I opened up an internet radio station. I was like, I'm going to do internet radio. And there was a MySpace at that time. And I looked up Live 365, and I'm like, how do you do this legitly? And I bought a blanket license so I could play any artist. I was licensed to play any artist on my station. I paid those royalties because I had the license. I had ASCAP and BMI. And then I had the internet radio station. And then I set up, I called my friends from the neighborhood. And we put together, programmers and a video person and shows. And then I started getting shows, started saying I'm looking for shows on MySpace. And then someone from Australia, someone from Britain, someone from California, someone from Georgia, someone from Illinois, or, and then in Africa. Forgot about Africa. I don't know where in Africa it is. It's because it was called
Wow.
African DJs or African Connection or something like that. And then now we have these shows. I look over the information, like, well, how the show is going to be. And I'm like, I like it. They'll give me a demo. I'm listening to it. I don't like this. I do like this. Tweak it. And then I became a programmer of the radio station. And now they're delivering the shows to us through email, and then we're programming it into the program log. Yeah, it was great. And it was fun. And then the royalty rates started to change in internet radio. Internet radio went down for a while. It was in trouble because of these royalty rates. And instead of being like, oh, I'm just going to let it go, I went to Washington, D.C. and fought for internet radio and helped introduce the Internet Radio Equality Act. So I'm talking to legislators in the House and the Senate and like, look, man, this is keeping me going. This is helping me out with my livelihood. You and I got one station. You got to keep internet radio. And we saved it. But later on, there was loopholes, and then I wasn't able to afford it anymore, and I had to shut it down. And I was like, what do I do next? The entrepreneur journey lives on. And then I went back to my childhood dream as owning a clothing line. And I wanted to start a t-shirt business. And I met with Cheryl, and she works at Goodwill, and I have supportive employment services, one of the services I receive in this area, and they're contracted with GHS, and they just put two things together and develop the business plan and let people read it, and got feedback and redid it and redid it and redid it and redid it. And then eventually Z wanted to be an investor, a business partner, because he owns other companies. So I was able to utilize his resources, his attorneys, his CPAs, things like that. And then also he's the president of the D-Man Foundation, which at the time was able to get back into music and perform again. And then we opened the doors November of 2011. July of 2011, we got incorporated. We became Easy Awareness by Design, Inc. And then November 2011, the doors were opening, and Easy Awareness by Design was born. And then 2 years later, Inspire was born. And then, that started with me just wearing it on my shirt when I went to go speak. And then we just saw the impact on people. We were like, we got to make it public. And then so it did. It started like I've explained it millions of times, probably not millions, I'm just exaggerating, but thousands. It feels like millions. It started as a seed, and then it grew into this tree, and then it grew branches. And each of those branches are people that support it. They took on their own meaning to the Inspire brand, but it still had its focus and mission still, no matter their meaning or not. It's positive. It creates positive change. It uplifts. It creates emotion. It brings out the best and the best, and it brings out a lot of creativity in a person. And that's what it's done, but and here we are. The Inspire has been growing, and it's opened so many doors, so many doors. And I have a Shopify page. Shout out to Shopify, because we learned that through Damon John. I met Damon John from the founder of Fubu, and it was on Shark Tank. I met him November of 2012. So we stayed in touch, and he followed my story and I followed his, and we tweeted and everything else. Before you know it, I was going to his academy. Our team was going to the Damon John Academy, and that's where we learned about Shopify. We had a website. We didn't know what to do. We had e-commerce. We had no idea how to make sales. We didn't know how to do any of that. We just had a website. We kept hearing about Shopify. We were like, all right, next business day, man. We took that down. We opened a Shopify. And I tell you, Shopify with that outlet, that's our website. And I just talked about this the other day with the president. I was tweeting him, telling him, I saw his Instagram, and I was like, that was like a very big part of Inspire, because people now were able to see it all over the world. That was the platform. That was the main platform that we sold Inspire on. We sold them at conferences and, and things like that, and events, and people ordered them by the bulk. But it was so mobile and so accessible. I didn't have to go to my shop every day. People would just go online, order it, and then we incorporated Printful, print on demand service. I know you want to know a lot about that, and I sent you RJ's video and stuff. And that's the game changer for me. That's how I survived. If I didn't have that, Easy Awareness by Design would not be around with that pandemic yet. I survived because I was so ready for virtual and for mobile. I was already in mobile stage. I was already in where these businesses are now. See, these companies they didn't deal with websites and virtual and stuff. They would say like, oh, they thought business was just at the physical location. It's not anymore. It's 360. You have an online presence. You have a store presence. You have all social media presence. I already had all that. So when it came to this happening, we were prepared. We were prepared for survival. We were prepared because we had the online. We had a brick and mortar. We had social media. We had all those. It wasn't just an online business. It was business. Business. I own a business that I was firing on all sectors, and now where we were at, that's how business is now. Business is all those areas now. Any business that wants to open now, they need a social media presence. They need an online. And if they're not able to get a brick and mortar, which that's but other than that, they need all those. They're not able to run away from that stuff anymore. So we were, we done that so early, 2013, 2014. So it really, really made things accessible, especially with me not able to move. And I just came out of bed rest after 820 days. I'm still in bed some, but I don't count those because I'm healed from my bone infection now after I relapsed, once or twice or something like that. And so all that preparing, I was able to survive. Like business was able to survive. Like, and of course the people that support, they're the number one because they support the business. You know what I mean? But what was there? If I had my brick and mortar store when the pandemic hit, no way, no
Yeah.
way. There's no like, and before that though, March 1st, 2018, so almost 3 years ago, it was, and not almost, it was 3 years ago in a couple of days, I went on bed rest. Now I wasn't able to get to the shop. I wasn't able to go to the shop for a year. So I was, having the Shopify page as my website, man, I was able to conduct business when I sleep, when I wake up from bedside. I'm doing business from bedside, you know? And it's like, it's incredible.
It is
It's
incredible.
incredible.
Print on demand's unbelievable, isn't it?
Game
Because
changer.
I ordered, 500 t-shirts, and I didn't think if you sell clothes, any kid who's been into skateboarding and hip hop in the 90s wants their own clothing brand. Fact. They just do. And I'd ordered something I'd always dreamt about as well. So I ordered these t-shirts, I ordered 5 different designs, and then you don't realize you need to get extra small, medium, large, extra large, 2XL, and then you get all those, and someone still needs a different size, and it's just and you don't realize, and they've got minimum order quantities for each t-shirt, so you have to buy so many of these, and then they even after you paid that, it costs a fortune because of all the different variations you have to buy. You get them shipped over. They haven't labeled the different t-shirts, so you've got this big it turns up and you're like, what the hell do I do with all these t-shirts? They're everywhere, and they're not labeled, and you have to go through and try and drop them on top of each other. But like, is this a small? And you're like, oh, and and you got men's and women's side, and you try and, oh my god, and it's just a mess. It's expensive and it's messy. So to have this print on demand service where you don't need any inventory, and when someone buys one off your store, a company will print one off and send it.
It's a game changer.
Revolutionary.
It really expanded for us to be able to live that dream.
I'm not quite happy with DTG yet, direct to garment printing. I quite like this. The I don't even know what kind of printing that is. You probably would know, but the kind of like the
Is that paint? Is that screen printed, or is that?
It's the more. I think it's screen printed. It's the more rubbery.
That might be vinyl. You don't think that's vinyl, do you?
I don't actually know.
Does it
mate.
crack?
I'm not sure. No cracks.
Okay.
No, it's pretty. But I think, but for the trade-off, really, of like not having to have inventory, it's kind of amazing. It's just it's
we use
something I definitely need to.
That's what we use. We use Printful.
Yeah, I got told not to use Printify and to use Printful, and I use Printify. So yeah, maybe I can. Yeah, I'm being a little bit lazy in that area at the moment, but it's definitely something where I need to put a bit more focus.
Yeah.
My problem, I don't really buzz off the business side of things. The looking at the numbers and the planning of business, and it really doesn't. I like the idea of I like the people part of it. I like the connecting part of it. I like the values and all that stuff, but when it gets down to the number side of it, I'm not a fan. So I guess I need a business partner.
Maybe you can find maybe you can find like virtual assistants, or like using Fiverr. I know people, we've used Fiverr on a few things before, but there's also like virtual assistants, that you can find. And I gave you that link. Follow him. He's that's the guy. Like.
Yeah.
He knows that he's the print on demand. Like, that's his like daily work. RJ is nonstop at the grind. print on demand, POD. Like so yeah, and he's gotten to the level where he spends money on advertisement and just, and and he talks about it and he interviews really good people too that really are going through it. And then he's had master classes and things like that, so
It
but
really is phenomenally easy, and it's quite relatively low cost to actually start up this thing because you don't need any inventory. You can easily design your own clothing now on something like Canva or one of, there's various apps, and there's some amazing apps out there that make some really cool looking stuff without much effort, which is kind of mind blowing. And yeah, it's kind of, and then Shopify to set up is kind of like you don't need to be too switched on to do it, do you? I mean, I've done it and I am not a computer person, so yeah,
Shopify
it's a cool.
Shopify is always growing, because it's almost like, how like cell phones, how they're always coming out and they're always updating. They're always like the next one, the next one, the next one. Well, there's always like these apps and stuff that are added to Shop. Like if you go into the App Store, you can add all these different features to your site. We were looking at it today for sound effects or for like voices and stuff, like when you come to the page, hi, welcome, or something, stuff like that. But people develop these apps and these apps are there. Well, there's so many apps. There's blog apps. There's customer return app. There are, coupon apps. So when you go on the website and you land on a coupon right there, sign, put your email in and I'll give you a 20% coupon to your email, sign you up to the mailing list, right away. Or music. There was one that had music where you could put music, or moving graphics, or video background. So yeah, there's more and more. There's so many apps with Shopify. I would like to meet someone that's using it to its 100% potential, because I think that they just grow so much. There's so much to offer. Like if you could use that with 100%, say like it's an engine and and you're using every cylinder. You're using every part of that engine, right? Your Shopify page would be massive.
Yeah,
It would be
I think
amazing.
it's a good time to get into
all
it.
the different ways that it would work. Because you could jump off, like say you were on the website and then you leave. There's programs, there's apps that will have you come back. You'll go to your email and it'll say, oh, hey, saw that you were shopping and, here's 20% off if you want to go back to the site. But now you're back on the site, shopping with your 20%. Yeah, it's awesome, man. It's awesome.
Yeah. And same with Amazon merch as well. I mean, Amazon's merch is cool because obviously they've got the clients coming to their site, and you can just kind of be there for people to find, which is, it's kind of, that's definitely the hardest part I've found about trying to sell stuff. It's kind of like, well, how do you sell it to who, where? And it's, I think that's one thing that entrepreneurs underestimate, is they kind of like, oh, you have all these creative designs, like, oh, I'm going to create this thing, and you create it. And it's like, you make something really cool, and then it's kind of like, oh, shit, who's going to buy it? How, where? That's definitely the trick. And you said you like social media has been
just get excited about
friend.
it. If you can get excited about get excited about what you're selling, and you can get other people excited, but you're not able to get excited about what you're selling, then how are you going to get other people to have that excitement? Like, I want to go get that. Like this guy right now is saying this is the best. Like, I need it. I don't know why I need it, but he said it's the best. Things like that. The other thing I would say is a strategy is a tool. I create an email that's just for signing up for dues for sites. So like maybe it's like such and such newsletter or mailing at gmail.com. And all that's for is when you go to like sites and you sign, get on their mailing list. No, it can be big box stores too, Walmart and Best Buy and whatever, electronics and clothing. Then this is the email that you can just like delete. When you go to the account, you can just hit all and delete. Nothing that you want to like spend a bunch of time with, but you start seeing their patterns, how they're marketing. How are these other companies marketing? How are they talking to their customers? How if I go on the website and I leave and now I got an email, they knew I left. So they got something there. So some program knows that I got their bounce rate. They're trying to bring me back to the site, or I've gotten it where I've left the website and got a phone call.
Hmm.
And I'm like, man, these guys they're relentless.
Ruthless.
They're calling me. Or I've opened up an email. I've just opened up, the email, and then I went to the site page and I closed it, and then I got an email coming back to me. I noticed you were at the site, or do you need some more talking to or something? So, but like, if you kind of like pay attention to what they're doing, especially like Black Friday sales, holiday, any kind of theme sales, how are they reaching out to their customers? What are they doing? What's the words they use? The keywords. That's the other thing. Keywords. And that's also when you put your product up. Making sure you got the right keywords. But what words are they using in their subject matter that makes you click? Why'd you click? Start thinking about yourself. Go down that list of that mailing. And then when you click on something, say you just spontaneously clicked on something, then take notes and figure out what made you click. You'll be like, why did I click on this? Was it because I felt
That's a
like I was
tough one.
missing something? Was it because it was the last day of the sale? Was it because I got all your electronics in one place just for you? Because it was 40% off? Because today's 0.5% off? Because you said I was private? It was a private sale just for the people around the mailing list? What did it? What made you click? What made you action? Call to action. What made you click on that link and open it up and open up that mail and read it? And actually not just read it, actually take the time to read it. Because now you opened it, but a lot of people open their stuff, they're like, delete. Next, next, next. But what if they read it? What if they actually took time to read the email? That's even, why? What made you read it? Was it a color? Did you see red?
I had a good one. Actually on Instagram. It wasn't too long ago, and I got an auto message from Instagram.
Mm.
When you'd sign up to them, and then I got an auto message back, and it's the first time I'd come into contact with it, and I was like, oh, they've sent me a message. That's nice of them. Not realizing auto message, and then I clicked, and then I had a link to Linktree. I don't know if anyone's on Instagram or if you're familiar with Linktree.
Oh yeah,
but absolutely amazing. And it's like a free thing where it's like one link, and then it has a load of buttons on a page to all your stuff, and you can add your links to it. And it said, oh, check out our podcast, and I did, and I landed on their podcast. I would never click through to someone like that. And I was there listening to their podcast, and I was like, I have got to do this. I've just done this, and I never do this stuff. I never click on an email. I never do that stuff. And I'd done it, and I was there, and I was just like, wow, that's absolutely mind blowing that they've managed to get me. Yeah.
So then you just got to self check yourself. You got to like take notes on yourself. How did they get me to get to this point of where we're at? How do people get to you? Like, I mean, what's like to connect the dots? Like when you put out something on Facebook or something. Then ask them, when it happens, like what made you, reach out to me. Obviously, our connection was with a mutual person, I think, right?
Yeah. Alyssa. Yeah.
Alyssa, right. So that's how that happened. So she was like, yeah, I'm like, okay, all right. Reaching out to him, so we did. And we made it happen. We had our, we talked a while back and said, let's schedule it, man. Let's do it up, But when you put something on Facebook, what made a person click on it? And then what made them go further? And say like,
I still find that nothing's more effective than direct messaging. If you send someone a message, then,
right.
it's like that personal, the more personal you can make something, the better it is in life, just regardless,
Most definitely. I learned really that with email. Yeah. Oh yeah. I slept on email. Meanwhile, I'm getting bombarded with emails. Why am I sleeping on emails when I'm getting bombarded with emails with the people that are making billions of dollars? And I had slept on it. I slept on it for years. I thought emails is, social media is the way to go. No. Email. You have a list. You have a mailing list. You make your offers. They're there. You collect the data. Their birthdays, the holidays, that their family's been married or babies have been born. You keep that. You can do that. Like And then you say you were like, today I'm gonna sell Inspire shirts for $5. I'm just saying. I can go right to the email list that everybody signed up for promotion because they said they wanted promotion and say, look, here it is, $5 coupon. Get it today, 24 hours, going fast. You know? And
Yeah.
then you go into the back end. With Shopify, you look at your return. You're like, okay, I sent 5,000 emails, 1,000 people only read it or something. You know, so they have all that data. They have all that data, and then when they get on your site, they got little things on the site that teaches you where each one's coming from too. It's like, wow.
You totally have to nerd out on all this stuff, don't you? If you want to make it, you've got to nerd out on this stuff. Otherwise, you're not going to go anywhere, are you? And I had these little bursts where I could put in loads of effort, and then and I was definitely due. Our whole sales side of it is really overdue. Nerding out on this again and getting a bit more strategy. If anyone listening to this wants to help us try and sell some stuff, get in contact with me because I'm not very good at it. But yeah, desperately looking for some help in that area with the shop and selling stuff. And I think that what he's talking about, like having like what you sell, getting excited about it. I know the only way I can do this, and the same with you, is we are selling inspiration, which it's kind of easy to get excited about that, isn't it? I'd find it quite difficult to sell doormats or you know what I mean. But when you're selling inspiration, I think that if you want my advice to anyone who wants to start something and believe in it is choose something that's kind of good for people to the best of your ability. I mean, maybe you're just selling stuff, it's fine, but I find it really easy to get excited about helping people. So yeah,
but if you can get excited about those doormats, man. What color are they? Well, what color are they? Are they waterproof?
You'll have to build in that welcome message to it where it talks to you.
I know.
Talking
great.
doormat.
You go up to it.
Say nice things to people. Oh, you look lovely today.
Yeah, you look nice today. Did you cut your hair? I like
that's
that.
A business.
Yeah,
that's a good idea. I don't know if they exist. If anybody's listening to that, I have copyrighted that. So
get your hustler tags from it.
Eric, mate, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you today. You are honestly a massive inspiration to me, and I just know you are to so many. It's absolutely incredible. I would love it if everyone could check out you and all your social media and everything that you do. I know you've got a ton of different things. Would you like to reel off some of the places where people can find you and your projects?
Yeah, it would be great. Thank you. The first thing I would say, just Google Eric Patrick Thomas. EricPatrickThomas. Do that first. You'll find videos and social media sites. The other things, if you want to go to like Facebook and Instagram, it's under Eric Patrick Thomas. Twitter's Eric P. Thomas. And then Inspire is Inspire Shirt for Facebook and for Twitter. But for Instagram, it's Inspire Shirt #1. And then the website's inspireshirt.com.
That's awesome. And if you want to send us over to them, Eric, we'll put all the notes in the show notes so you can find them easily and click on them. Thanks so much for coming on the show today, Eric. Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
If anybody found this podcast inspiring, please share it with a friend or give us a follow on Facebook and Instagram and all those things as well.
Yeah.
So, thank you so much.
Yeah. Make sure that you like, comment, and share. Get the people. Break the chain.
Do all that stuff. Much love. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Thanks everybody for listening.
Cheers, Eric.